this is Pete Madsen, and I'm here to talk about my lesson playing in the style of R.L. Burnside in open G tuning. R.L. Burnside was a Mississippi Hills blues player who remained relatively unknown until the 1990s when he was recorded by Fat Possum Records. He proceeded to tour and become fairly well known in the blues scene. His playing is marked by a really great rhythmic drive, and that's what I'm really going to focus on for the most part in this lesson, is his rhythmic drive in open G tuning. A lot of people, I think the main thing they've tuned into, or one of the main songs they've tuned into in R.L. Burnside's playing, is the song Black Maddie. And the groove I was just playing in the opening was Black Maddie, the groove he plays. To start off with, just to let you know, I'm in open G tuning, and if you haven't already done so, you want to tune your guitar to D, G, D, G, B, D. So this is D, this is G, this is D, G, B, and D. Tuned to an open G chord. A lot of the examples I'm going to play will have a steady dead thumb bass played on the fifth string. And you'll notice as you go through the examples, a lot of times I'll be muting that bass quite a bit. And most of that muting is going to happen with the palm of my hand. So just so you know, a couple things before you get started. You want to be able to do that heavy palm mute to get that percussive element. I'm using a thumb pick. Burnside didn't use picks at all. So he just used his thumb and I think usually just his first finger for finger picking. I'm going to use a combination of thumb, index, middle, and to some degree the ring finger. Let me start off with example 1, which is the Black Maddie groove. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you'll notice I'm keeping the steady bass here, and I allow that fifth string, that open G, to sound more on that first beat as I slide into the second string, third fret, and you can do that with whichever finger you want. But I come down pretty hard on the second beat. You'll notice in the tab and the music notation that it will be X's, and that's for that very percussive sound. And you want to get that on the second and fourth beat of this groove. So you go. Actually lift my hand off when I play that, and I come down on the strings with that real percussive thump. So that's example 1. Example 2 is a slight variation on that. I'll slide up, and then I'll fret the first string at the 5th fret. Now, the Black Maddie groove is actually a fairly fast tempo. So if I played it up to tempo, I'm going to play that example 1 again, back up to tempo. You can see it's a pretty quick tempo, and it has this really great drive to it. To my knowledge, R.L. Burnside, when he played in open tunings, only played in open G. So he had to have some different tempo songs to work in that tuning. And the next example, example 3, is an example of a slower tempo groove called, this is based on the song Peachtree Blues. So let me play example 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. In these slower grooves, the melody gets a little busier. Same kind of thing that we did. We started off with the Black Maddie groove. We do that little slide. And then a pull off there on the second string. And then I'm going to fret this little figure, second string on the first fret and the third string on the third fret. So if I play into that, the second measure, the second part of that little bend, little microtonal bend. That's example 3. Example 4 is based on the song Skinny Woman, and it's also a slower groove. Let me play this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Heavy on the bass again. We've got start off with a little triplet, which bounces between the 4th, 3rd, and 5th string, and then the 5th string, 5th fret. A little bit of a bend, just a little greasy feel there. Example 5 is also from Skinny Woman, and it's got a very percussive element to it. A lot of. Let me play example 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Burnside did a lot of work with the thumb and index finger, and when you're doing that strumming, you're going that down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up kind of strumming thing that's going on, and that'll be thumb, thumb, index, thumb, thumb, index, thumb. Okay. Example 6. Burnside spent most of his life in the Mississippi Hill region. He spent a small amount of time in Chicago, a few years, and there he met people like Muddy Waters and John Lee Hooker, and this groove seems to be have been influenced by his meetings with those players. Has a real kind of Boogie Children kind of feel to it. Let me play this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm fretting that 6th string with my thumb, and then I'm doing again that percussive sound, and then there's their very John Lee Hooker style groove. You can speed that up a little bit. Burnside spent most of his life in the Mississippi Hills, and one of his neighbors was Mississippi Fred McDowell, from who he probably learned a fair amount of slide guitar. He used the slide and he wore it on his ring finger. I wear my slide on my pinky, so just keep that in mind. This first example of slide, example 7, is based on the song Rollin' and Tumblin'. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the slide is on the 4th and 3rd string, going from the 2nd to the 3rd fret, open strings, and then back to the 3rd fret, and sliding backwards to the 2nd fret. Example 8 is adding a little bit of prefix to that lick. Starts off like this. So he's using that 5th fret to create the beginning part of that lick. Then a backward slide on the 3rd string, and then back to the original groove we had before. So there's some examples of R.L. Burnside's playing in open G tuning. I put together something called Burnside's Brush, which I used some of the examples of that playing, but really kind of focusing on groove. It's all over a G chord. It's played relatively slowly. So this is example 9, Burnside's Brush. 2, 3, 4. So let me take that apart. The beginning, first lick is from that Peachtree Blues things that we did earlier. The next lick is something I came up with, but kind of based on the idea of using the slide on the bass string. So I'm sliding into the 5th fret on that 5th string. Come back around, we repeat that whole first section. And then we use that same lick to come up the neck a little bit. So I'm up at the 5th fret barring the 1st and 2nd string. And then I'm going to reach up to the 8th fret. This little section here, you can use it in a sense to be an extension of the 1 chord G, or think of it as a lick you can actually use over a 4th chord if you were to play C. Something you would hear in sort of like Robert Johnson's playing. Let's descend down to the 3rd and 5th frets on the 2nd and 1st string. And then a nice little break where I do another little percussive thing. And then the last little bit here is based on rolling and tumbling, using those 4th and 3rd strings as slide tones. So if you want to try out the style of R.L. Burnside in this open G tuning, remember that the groove is paramount. You want to really focus on groove, get some of that percussive element. Make sure you got a very good feel for the downbeat on the bass, and palm muting I think is integral to his playing. You go back to something like that Black Maddie groove. Just keeping that, keep that groove, keep that percussive element going, and you'll be on the right track to cop R.L. Burnside style.